Hello everyone. Today I am going to talk about what I've been watching on YouTube this week. Things that have come to my attention, and some have shocked me and some I found really interesting. So if that sort of chatty video is your bag, then please stick around. I watched a video this week on the This Morning channel, and it was where they were discussing a program called Adolescence on Netflix. Now, I don't have Netflix, I have Apple TV, but they were discussing this program, and it's called Adolescence. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but what I gleaned from the program was that it is shocking. It's shocking in that young boys, 13, 14, 15 maybe, are being brainwashed online by incels, involuntarily celibate men, and people like Andrew Tate. Now, I think he is an excuse for a man. I've not known anybody quite as bad as him, but there are a few out there that think that a woman's place is barefoot in the kitchen. They haven't grown any farther than the caveman days, I think, or they are so dreadfully insecure about their own manhood that they need to behave like that, because that's not how real men behave. Real men are great. Like my own darling boy. He's great. And he's shocked at these behaviours that we're seeing now from some of the male. He is shocked by the behaviour of some men, which is a pity, isn't it? But I don't know what your thoughts are on this subject, because it actually makes me fearful for my own grandchildren. It really does. I just think, what's it going to be like when Jack and Lily are at school and they'll have a mobile phone and they're getting all these texts and they're using emojis as their form of communication, and they're terrible. What they actually mean, you'd look at these messages on your child's phone and you'd see maybe a pill or an explosion or something like that, and you think, oh, I wonder what that is. But in this incel language, all of its own, they have specific meanings, and it is frightening what they want to do to women, how they want to behave. It's shocking and disappointing. I find all of this sort of behaviour really disappointing, that men can stoop so low. I mean, I've gone out with a few not very nice people in my past, but you'd hope that one day they see the light, because not all men are like that. But then if they are, and they don't grow, they don't get more intelligent, they don't grow as people, then you're best off just leaving them to it, because you can't educate stupid. And also, you can't judge every man by the ones that get in the news. for all the wrong reasons. Just a thought. I don't know. What do you think? Are you worried about your grandchildren? What it's going to be like when they get to school? I must admit, I am absolutely worried. I'm worried that they'll get bullied. I'm worried that my granddaughter will be sent rude pictures. Just makes you worried. And I'm sure Katie and Mark will keep on top of it. But you just don't want them to go through that sort of thing, do you? Now, I got a message from a subscriber called EZZZ4213. I don't have a name for her or him, so I don't know if it's a man or a lady. And they asked me if I would recommend retirement. Well, I didn't retire until I was 54, a year after I met my darling boy. And I have never been busier. I think it's because I like to find jobs to do. I like being busy. So if it's not the garden, what I've done is I've swapped self-employment, because I've always been self-employed in one capacity or another. So I've swapped self-employment, paid self-employment, for just working around the house and the garden. And, the time is your own, but I am incredibly busy. My husband is 16 years older than me, so right now he's 84. And he does look a lot younger than his years. And because of that, I forget that he's 84 and expect him to do more. But he is incredibly indolent. In fact, I say to him, "You are the most indolent person I've ever met, bar none." If he were an animal, he would be a sloth with the television. And he's quite happy to lounge around all day. And I say to him, "It's a lovely day today. Are you going outside? Are you going out for a walk?" And he says, "No." And he goes in and watches the television. And he says that he does the relaxation for both of us. And for the last 14 years, it's been a bit of a joke, really, because he does do the relaxation for both of us. I'm always doing something. And my happiest days are when I've been really busy. But sometimes, health issues catch up with me and I can't be busy. And then I'm miserable because I feel as if I'm wasting my day. I hate to see a day that I haven't been productive. And that's irritating. If you're a doing person and you can't do, then it's upsetting. What about you? What do you do in your retirement? I know that some people haven't even retired yet in their age, 67, 68. They still haven't retired. And I wonder how they manage it. They manage it because generally they haven't got a choice, which is really rough. If I had to go out to work on the days that I am poorly, for example, I'd have to have the day off and not get paid, which is, something to think about, something to ponder. I watched a video this week on a channel I've not long found called Midlife with Marv. And she is really funny. And she put out this video, where have all the chivalrous men gone? And in most part, they're still around. I suppose it depends on who you are mixing with. My darling boy still opens the door for me. People that I know would still open the door for me. They are nice and chivalrous. I think with the young folk, maybe they've been put off of opening the door because of the reception they've had when they've done it. You know, it only takes one person to say, I can open the door for myself, thank you very much. Just take umbrage. That's such a kindness. And that person will be put off of doing that again, which is sad, really. Marv said, where have all the chivalrous men gone? And admittedly, you do have to look a bit further than you might have, but generally you can find them. They aren't so numerous these days, but you can find them. I watched another channel. I'm not going to say who it was because I just thought, oh, you know, what an attitude. But she was complaining that she went to, maybe it was Target or Walgreens or somewhere like that, and she bought something there. That was quite heavy. I think it was birdseed. Well, I buy birdseed in 20 kilo bags, so you know it is a weight. And somebody at the checkout asked her if she would like them to take it to her car. Now, had that been me, I'd have said, yes, please, that's terribly kind of you, thank you. She said, no, what makes you think I need you to take it to the car? Or words to that effect. And I thought, that person was offering you a kindness, and you threw it back in their face in not a nice way, in high dudgeon. What example is that showing to the youth of today, that an older person can't be kind and can't be gentle and appreciative of a kindness that's offered? I just don't get it. You know, I just don't get it. I think it's foolhardy and not very nice. I mean, this person was in her 60s, so she is not young. And what she's also done is spoiled it for the next older lady that comes along that may well have health issues. Think about that one. She might be a lady with a bad back, with fused vertebrae. She could have all sorts of things wrong with her. You know, she's not going to wear a label. And because of her age, somebody might think, well, I might give you a hand with that. But because of the previous experience with this lady who took umbrage, then he might think, I better not, because she's just going to tear my head off. Isn't that a pity? The other thing, well, EEZZZ number asked me a few questions, and I've written them down here. Do I have any regrets in life? Well, she is clearly new to my channel. Because if she had been watching my life story and my 3 previous marriages and so on and so forth, if I didn't have regrets over those and other things, then I clearly would be away with the fairies. I do have a lot of regrets, but I have learned from them all. And the way I like to look at it is that if I just let it be a regret and not learn anything and not treat it as a lesson, harsh lesson, but a lesson nonetheless, then I could become bitter and twisted. And that is not me. I'm the sort of person that loves to give, and I give with both arms open, never expecting anything in return. It's a fool's errand if you give something expecting to get something. You have to give it as if you could throw it away and wouldn't miss it. And that way you have no expectation from it. And that's the way I like to give. I also have an abundance mentality, so I always think it's going to be replaced. And I'm sure there's somebody up there looking at me saying, Imogen, just stop, behave. But I don't, I just keep on giving and I'm always fine. I have a cleaner, and she said, or he said, what's it like? What's it like having a cleaner? Well, I can tell you, once a fortnight, my cleaning lady, Ruby, comes here, and she is absolutely adorable. Beautiful, beautiful young lady. And I mean, she should be a model, really. Not a cleaner. She should be a model. She's so beautiful. And she's very thorough. And she comes in, and there are certain. Here's the thing. In a previous life, when money was tight, well, actually, when I was having this court case with the third husband, and money was very tight, even though I was a podiatrist, even though I had an interior design business, you can only earn so much, and I didn't want to get into debt, so I got a cleaning job because I'd done it before in my first marriage. So I got this cleaning job, and I negotiated my own price, and it was in some offices, and I turn up in my Mercedes Benz, and I'm a whiz at cleaning. I'm really, really thorough, and I pull things out, and once I start, I am really thorough. So, like these plants in the back, they're not real because I would constantly be faffing around with the earth and things, and then they die. So I got faux plants, and they're great. That one's been there for years. But every so often, I take it out of the pot, I put it in the bath, and I give it a shower. So it's all nice and clean. I do that with all the faux plants in my house. I put them in the shower. Things like that. When I'm cleaning, I go around the edges. I do the tops as well to make sure there's no spidery things. I make sure there's no cobwebs because they appear all of a sudden, don't they? So I do that. And I'm just generally looking for places that people don't normally look. So my cleaner knows that. And when I see her, I always have a special job. And I say, could you make sure that this area is done or that area or whatever? Because in the week that she's not there, I do it as well. And But it's nice once a fortnight not to have that. And also, they vacuum, or she vacuums all over the house. This is a big house, you know. It's over 3 floors and it's 5 bedrooms. And it's a lot of work. And I've realised I'm getting old. I know I'm getting old. And do you know how I know? I got my first old lady mark this week. Now, as I've said that, what do you think that is? What is the thing that you see old people, not just ladies, but old people in general? Old people in general, what are the marks they have? Well, I can tell you what they have. Have you ever noticed that old people get these really nasty bruises on their hands or their arms or wherever, and you think, oh, well, I used to think, good Lord, they must have bashed the hell out of themselves, or somebody manhandled them or something like that. Well, this week I was doing some printing and the printer would not take up the paper. It was constantly causing a jam, which was very irritating because I had 1,000 things that I had, literally 1,000 cards that I had to print. So after this happened several times, I lifted up this great big heavy printer. You'll see it in previous films, it's sort of in the background. I mean, it's a heavy thing. So I lifted it up and I saw some little runner things at the bottom. So I thought, I wonder if they are somehow not working. Well, they weren't working properly. They weren't getting the paper up. So I thought I'd wash them with a cloth. So I stuck my hand in and it got stuck. It got stuck, but I still wanted to clean that thing. So I just kept on and pushing it and rolling the wheels round and with my cloth and things. And in the end, I pushed it up and then I got my hand up. And then, look at that. Look at that. Massive. That is so dark. It doesn't hurt at all. It looks terrible. It looks like I am now officially an old lady. I've got the old lady mark. I said to Katie, I've become an old lady. Also, this week, a blood vessel burst in my eye. And I had this enormous amount of blood in this eye. And you can see it. It's going now gradually, but it's made me look a bit boss-eyed for the last week. So any videoing that I've done, I've noticed that I do look like I've got a squint. It's very attractive. So that's what I've had going on this week. This blessed thing on my hand and my eye, which I must admit does feel a little scratchy. So I should be very glad when that is gone. You know, nobody wants to look like their chap has punched them in the eye. I did say to my darling boy, I said, I'm going to tell people you punched me in the eye. He said, do you think they'll believe you? And I said, no. So that's what it's like having a clean. I was digressing clearly. Oh yes, I was. Yeah, I told you about that. Clothes. They asked me about my clothes. Would I make a video about my favourite clothes and what I tend to wear, where I get my clothes from? Well, I'm a real mix and match girl. Some things I do spend a lot of money on. Well, I think I do. You know, considering I'm just at home, I I I really don't like saying how much I've spent because my darling boy watches these sometimes and he'll say, "How much did you spend on that? How much was that?" So I won't say quite how much I spent on a me and M dress, but it was more than it wasn't cheap. Now he's going to ask me how much wasn't cheap. But anyway, I bought it, and I bought it primarily from M because some of their clothes look really nice, and I do like a bit of navy, as you can tell. And I bought these dresses, and they do make me feel special. You know, I do feel special wearing them. So I bought those. I used to be a person who would constantly buy expensive clothes. Not couture clothes, but the upper end of the market. So maybe Hobbs and places like that. Or LK Bennett. I did like their clothes. But now, these days, I often buy clothes from Boden because I always shop online now. I buy clothes from Boden. I buy clothes from Reiss. I bought 2 nice pairs of jeans from Reiss and they are stretchy and they are long and flared and I like those. And they're very comfy. I bought those. I love my Levi's dungarees and they will just last forever. Having said that, I did buy some dungarees from eBay and they were only about 20 something pounds each and I wear them gardening. And I bought them in a size 18 and 22. So they are really massive. But, you know, you just want that when it's cold outside and you've got a winter jacket on and you've got your leggings on and everything else underneath and you just look, well, I just look gigantic and I look like a farmer. And I'm out there working like anything and keeping warm. So they are great. I don't tend to buy stuff just to look at in my wardrobe anymore. You know, those sort of clothes that you go in and open the cupboard door and you stroke because you're never going to wear them again, but they are just pretty. I've got a couple of things like that that I haven't given away. I used to buy a lot of pairs of shoes. At one point, I was buying 3 or 4 pairs a week. I was terribly unhappy in those days, and shoes were my outlet. And I think it's because when I was a child, I had a pair of shoes on. My parents, my dad and my stepmom, bought me a really cheap pair of shoes and the sole wore out and they had a hole in it. And one day I was at school, it had been raining and my socks were wet through. And I could smell my own wet feet from underneath the desk. And that has never gone from me. I think that's probably why I sought comfort from buying so many pairs of shoes. When I met my darling boy, I had about 120 or 150 pairs of shoes. There are lots of high heels. He likes me to be a lot shorter than him, and actually I am, but he doesn't like me wearing high heels because then I am sort of his height and he prefers me to be a bit shorter. So, aside of which, I now have, this is going to sound like I'm Quasimodo, isn't it? I now have one leg 1 inch shorter than the other following a hip replacement. So if I stand on my right leg, I am 1 inch taller. And then if I stand on my left leg, I'm shorter. I have a tall leg and a short leg. And when I told the surgeon, he said, never mind, we'll straighten you up next time we do your other one. But what it has meant is that it's a 3 centimetre discrepancy, which is, a fair amount. You can't just put something in your shoe and sort that leg length discrepancy out. It has meant that I get a lot of problems with my sacroiliac joint because I'm sort of wonky and it causes stress on those joints. So, yeah, I wore a pair of high heels to a funeral a couple of years back and it was so uncomfortable. I used to buy shoes that I would call car to bar shoes. The ones that you get out of your car, you walk to the restaurant and then you sit down. They are not for walking any distance at all. They are beautiful, they're little works of art, but apart from that, no. Well, I certainly don't buy those anymore. I wear, in the main, MBT trainers. And I wear those because of my Achilles tendons, which, following my injections, my high volume saline injections that I've had in them, I woke up last night at 1:30 and my left Achilles tendon was literally throbbing. So I don't think that one has worked, which is miserable. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't particularly want to have an operation to scrape the tendon down to a normal size because, I'm on steroids and I don't heal well anymore. It's a real thing. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. So anyway, that is why I wear MBT trainers. I wear them all the way around the house. Only in the evening will I put a pair of slippers on because then my legs get cold. I really do sound ancient, don't I? My feet are so cold. They feel damp on the toes. The rest of them, up until you get to my metatarsals, my feet are all right. But beyond that, then they are frozen. And my ankles are frozen. I don't know why. Well, I do. I've got falling circulation, but that's irritating. But yes, I wear trainers around the house all day long because they support my feet and my ankles in the hope that, they're going to be getting better anytime soon. That chance of that, I think. Yes, my clothes. I don't know what's the matter with my head today. I just seem to be going around all over the place. Right. The other clothes that I buy are by OSKA. Now they are quite expensive. A pair of trousers would be upwards of £200 or a bit more. But, I don't buy them very often. And sometimes I will get things secondhand from eBay. I'm a secondhand rose. I really don't mind wearing pre-worn clothes, you know, second-hand clothes at all. They are new to me. And I love them even more because they're second-hand. And they're much more of a bargain anyway. So I like OSKA. They're a German company and they say their clothes are wearable art. And as I'm an arty person, that resonates with me. I wear Bowden. Oh, and you see this blouse? Well, this shirt came from Amazon. And I looked it up to see how much I paid for it. And it was £6.50. £6.50. That's a ludicrous amount. You couldn't even buy the fabric for that. And I love them because they're proper cotton. And if they start getting a little bit faded, I just buy some dye and mix up navy blue with a little bit of black dye, so it's really dark navy blue. And then I shove them in the washing machine. And so I've got two of these ones. This one, let's see, two. And I just bought two different ones. I just got this. I'm going to try this on later. That's a different sort of fabric. I'm going to see what it looks like. But I think this one was incredibly expensive. It was £20. This one, all navy for the summer. I mean, that's nice, isn't it? Not too bad. So, you know, it covers up your arms where you don't want to show people. So I'm quite pleased with those. I shall give you a model one point. So you can find some nice stuff on Amazon. Plus also, if it doesn't fit and if it's not all the way from China, because if it comes from China, then you just can't send it back. And they say, yes, you can return it, but actually you have to return it to China. And by the time you've paid all the postage out, it's actually not worth sending back. So, you know, think on that one. Right, what makeup do I use? Well, I have discussed this cream that I'm using, the Skin Hero. Love that. And I'll go and get the cream. Right, here we go. That is my favourite cream at the minute. 30 something pounds, I think. Excellent. But this one is some kind of magic. When you put it on your finger, I've already got a replacement. It's green. And then if your face is a bit red, try it on here. I mean, this is my face wouldn't ever be this red. But that's not bad, is it? It works a treat on my skin. It doesn't stay green when you rub it in. It becomes foundation colour, which I think is magic. So I don't use any other foundation other than that green cream, and I just love it. And the other thing that I've started using is this Maybelline. It's called Sky High. I use brown, and it is fabulous. It separates your lashes. It's got a nice separator. Plus, it lengthens them without the little fibres. Now, I do have long lashes, so I'm lucky with that, but this makes them look even longer. So that is my absolute favourite. The lipstick I'm wearing today is called Sandwash Pink by Bobbi Brown, and blow me, they have discontinued it. I mean, why they didn't write to me, I don't know, because I've worn it for years. Anyway, I'm going to have to find something similar because I like this colour. The other one that I use is called Brave, and that's a pale, the sort of mid-pink range, and that is by MAC. That smells nicer than Bobbi Brown lipstick, so I wear that. And I have started to wear the eyeshadow I've got on today is Rimmel, and it is a long wear eyeshadow, but I can't find it in the shops, so I looked for it on Amazon today and I did find it, so I'm quite pleased with that. Obviously Rimmel, not expensive, but what I like about this is that it comes out of a tube, and it's got a little applicator, and you put it over your eyelids, and it doesn't if you've got wrinkles and you've got sort of lax skin on your eyelids because it's so thin, then when you apply other makeups, they tend to drag your eyelids round. So this one doesn't. You know, it just glides on, and then it dries, and then it will stay in place all day long. The other thing I tend to do after I've applied that and it's dried is I put on a very, very pale pink over the top to blend out any harsh lines. So I use that. I also use a white powder around here and on the top of my cheekbones, where the light would naturally fall if you were under a spotlight. So I put it all here. I mean, I'm getting hot now, so my face is red, but that's where I put it. I put it round here, I put it down here, and then I blend that out with a darker foundation just on my cheekbones, on my face. And that's usually a powder. So what else? Oh, she asked about my childhood. Well, that's the first video in my life story. Interesting childhood I had, but it's not worth talking about right now. Let's see what else I've got. Oh, now I've had several fantasy selves. I've had the sewing Imogen fantasy self when I bought all the sewing materials and notions and sewing machines. That never came to anything. And in my biggest clear out, I got rid of a big sewing machine, and I got rid of boxes and boxes and boxes of fabrics and notions to a lady I know, a friend of mine. She's a sewing teacher, and I just gave it to her. So that was good. I got rid of all that. The other thing that I had a fantasy self was that I thought I would like to be a cook. Because I do like people doing a recipe, and you know, it does get the taste buds going, and I think, oh, that looks nice. That doesn't look hard. But so I get all the stuff. Now I'm not doing this now, I have to hasten to add, because I decluttered my kitchen and I got rid of lots of food that was still in date, and I took it all down to the food bank. So I'm not going to keep on doing that. But Tracy, Life in the Wild West, did a video this week of a friend of hers making these. Well, they just look delicious. They look like, well, they were round, and she had this lovely little poaching pan, it would be in England. It was sort of round, and she was making, now what are they called? Danish Abelskiver. Now, don't 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 shout at me if I've got it wrong. But anyway, she was making these, and you have them with lingonberry jam, and I thought, oh, they look scrumptious. They're right up my street. But you know, unless I'm buying them, I'm just not going to. I'm not going to make them. I remember I hate cooking. I really hate it. The only things that I like doing are things that now I can shove into the air fryer. Now, it's a pity I don't have the Christmas dinner that I thought I would cook in the air fryer, and we ended up eating the care package that came from Katie, mainly sweets and chocolate, because I thought I would do half a duck breast each for our Christmas dinner, and it was so bad I had to take a photograph of it and send it to Katie and my other daughter Claire. And that's when she said, Lord, Mum, I didn't realise that that parcel I sent you and Dad would end up being a care package. In fact, it was so bad that my darling boy said, from now on, we go out for Christmas dinner, come what may. So that was good, wasn't it? It was terrible. It went in the bin. So anyway, I won't be making this apple Danish Abelskiver, but if you want to go and find out how it was made, because they do look delicious, then pop over to Tracy's Life in the Wild West, because they didn't look that difficult, but you know, I just can't be doing with it. Oh, and I watched a channel called The Spiffy Brit. Now, I'm not sure if he is an AI voice or if his entire channel is just AI generated, but he was actually quite funny. He was showing how he had scammed, I suppose, the algorithm, and I thought, oh, that might help some of the ladies that follow me, even the gentlemen. You know, if you're a YouTuber, you would just like to know how you can get one over on this blessed algorithm and be a winner. So I thought, I'll watch this and then I'll report on it. Anyway, he did this. He was pointing out that none of us are using the community tab thing, post. We're not using that nearly as much as we should. And he showed how he had done this particular post and put in all the right buzzwords and said, let's break the algorithm, or let's break something or other. Feel free to copy and paste this and do it for yourself. So I thought, okay, I'll do that and then I'll report back, see if it works. Well, it hasn't, not yet. You're meant to get as many likes as you can, and that way some people will subscribe, some people will watch your videos, but it tricks the algorithm into thinking that your channel is popular. So I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a go. I did that. I asked Katie for a lovely picture of Ruby the dog, her dog, gorgeous little cockapoo, old lady now, a bit like me. And I put it up there, but it's not having the same effect that the Spiffy Brit did, sadly. So that's a no-go. What else did he say? Oh, the other person that I've been watching this week is Susan from 60 and Sane. That's a nice channel. She was doing today, or I watched the video today, the 5 things that she was giving up now that she's 60. And the one that I really want to give up, that she said she was giving up, is overthinking. I mean, how many times have you said something? How many times have you had a conversation with somebody and you've gone home and you've gone through it almost sentence by sentence, and then you started to worry? Did I say it like that? I hope she hasn't taken it the wrong way. Oh God, maybe I should text her. Oh, I'd hate to think I've upset her. I mean, this person has already gone home, done the washing, had tea, not even thought about it at all. Doesn't even know what you're talking about when you bring it up. But that's the sort of thing I do. I overthink things. My biggest dread is upsetting somebody. There are times in your life that you do, and it's horrible because that's the last thing you want to do. Unless, of course, you do. So she's giving up that. But she does have a lot of good things to say. So, it might be worth going over there and giving her a try. The other thing that I was going to tell you. Some time ago, about 3 weeks ago, I was contacted by a man named Kevin, one of our subscribers. And he said, you have the perfect, have you ever considered, Imogen, have you ever considered having an ASMR channel? Now, if you've not heard of ASMR, like I had not, then it is autonomic sensory meridian response. And that means, because I read this article, that when some people, not me, although it does sometimes affect me when I hear a really beautiful piece of music, a really beautiful piece of classical music, and I'll feel the hairs on my arms stand up, or maybe I'll get goosebumps. I don't know if that's the same. But people that have a response to certain triggers, it might be various sounds like crinkling, popping, crunching. I mean, the world of ASMR is astonishing when you start looking at it. And he said you would be perfect for it. Think about it. So I spoke to my darling boy, and then, of course, I did a ton of research, which is my thing. Anyway, I did all this research and I thought, okay, well, I think I could do that. Anyway, I decided that I would just read. I would just read a book by the author that I'd met, and also poems by Hilaire Belloc, because they are all pre-1926, so they are out of copyright, because I don't want to get a copyright strike. So I've started doing that. And when I first started this channel, it took me about 3 or 4 months to get to 40 subscribers. Every single one felt like it was really a hard one. Every single one. But I put up one video and it was just an introduction to say what this is the first video and this is what I'm going to do. And that was it. I think it was about a 14-minute video. But I have got now That was 4 days, 20 hours ago, I think. I have got now, well, don't know, but the last time I looked, I had 61 subscribers. Mind blown. Absolutely astonished. My next video was 3 poems by Hilaire Belloc, primarily because I love reading them. And now I'm reading the book, the editing of which is taking me much longer than I thought because